Hey y'all, welcome back to my channel. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe if you like any of this content. We are the one-stop shop for all things barber and beauty. So today we're going to be doing a fade and braid on my client. This is my longtime client. He comes in about once a month and he gets his hair cut, he gets his beard trimmed, and he gets braids. So the first thing that I'm going to be doing is using my Babless clipper, and I went ahead all the way closed with the guard, and I created that first line that you see there at the bottom. Now I'm going in with a 1.5, and I went all the way to the top of the line where I'm going to be bringing that undercut so that we can leave the top and we can do braids on the top. So basically, that line that you see in the center that is coming out is the line that I created with the guard number 1, and I just went halfway. So I'm using the guard all the way closed at the bottom, the number 1 halfway, and then I'm using the 1.5 all the way to the top. And then you can see I'm going to start moving downward and kind of blending, making sure everything is nice and blended. So here I'm going in with no guard and the clipper all the way open. I'm going to attempt to take this bottom line out, and as I go up, I'm just going to keep moving that lever. As you can see, my thumb kind of going back and forth, and also using the corner of the teeth of the clipper to make sure that I get every single hair. You guys have no idea, one little hair can make such a huge difference. Now I'm going to go ahead and continue moving up. I'm going to put my clipper on. This is the half guard, and I'm going to, like I said, start with it open and then gradually closing it as you move up and down. Each hair is kind of individual to the head, so wherever it's placed, sometimes you're moving your clipper right, sometimes you're moving it left, depending on the way the hair is laying. It really just, as long as you get all the hairs, that's what matters the most. As long as it looks even and proportioned and symmetrical on all sides, that's what's important. I feel like the guidelines at the beginning have to be straight all the way around the head, and that's what makes a big difference, and it makes it a lot easier. I used to struggle with making those straight lines, like the straight guidelines. I don't know why they were always like lopsided, and until I got those correct and I was able to kind of go from temple to temple and then meet it in the back and the center, then I was able to get those lines even. So if you struggle with those guidelines, go ahead and try that hack. Just start right to left first and then meet the lines in the center, and you'll be able to get your guidelines nice and straight. So anyway, we were able to get all those lines out, and here we are at the bottom. I like to take my trimmer and I go ahead and clean up the bottom, and then I will use my electric shaver to kind of furthermore add another, not really a guide, but just blend it in with that shaver. That is going to give us the smoothest effect, almost like a razor, actually closer than a razor. But before we do that, I'm going to go ahead and just do this lineup really crisp, really fast. I'm going to be using my Babless trimmer, and what I like to do is go from right to left. That is just my routine. So I don't create white walls. You guys don't push the hairline back. Just simply line it up exactly where it is. Start on your right side or your left side, whichever you prefer. Move to the other side and then meet it in the center. Some people will go through the center first. I like to go use the corners first, because I feel like you're going to be able to see where that line needs to be. Okay, so here's the part that I'm using the foil shaver, like I was saying, and I'm just going to clean it up. It is going to create just the tiniest little like difference. You can see it's not going to create a line, but I'm just going to go ahead with my trimmer and I'm just going to pop that out just using the corner. And you can also kind of use your electric shaver, and it'll kind of blend it in itself as well. If you flip it around, it kind of does a good job at just getting that line out, or whatever kind of little shadows that you've created. If you guys are new to barbering, you guys need to go ahead and grab you some of these Babless Pro FX clippers and trimmers. They're really good. I love the sets, and they come in so many different colors. So shout out to Babless. I really love these chameleon clippers, and I also have the chameleon blade on this one as well, that I really like as well. So, and it matches, it's so nice. All right, so here I'm just going to go ahead with my half guard I'm just using the half guard just kind of as another barrier to make sure that I'm not going too low. I am freehanding all of this beard work. I'm just trimming off the excess. As you can see, I'm combing and then getting all the little hairs, and then I'm going to go in with my trimmer. I'm using the 245 X Babyliss trimmer, and I really love this as a new trimmer, and I really like it. It is zero gapped now, but it's not super zero gapped, and I kind of like it that way. Sometimes if you zero gap too much, it'll kind of bite, and I like these ones a little bit less zero gapped, and my Babyliss ones are super zero gapped. So this is really sensitive and really good for the beard and for the face lineups. All right, after the beard is all squared away, I'm going to go ahead and sit him up, and I'm going to go ahead and use my shaver, and I'm using my shave gel. I like it because it's clear, and here I am going to go ahead and just clean up the neck. Some barbers do it, some barbers don't, but I feel like my clients really love when I use the razor on the neck. Just gives it that extra special touch. Now I put the headrest on and I lean my client back in the chair just a little bit. I'm working just on the top today, so I'm able to do that with my client just to make sure that they're nice and comfortable. So the first line that I start with is the one in the center. It's the most important parting because you're going to make sure that it's nice and even and symmetrical on the head from the middle of the nose all the way back, and then using the nape of the neck in the center to make sure that you're all the way aligned and perfectly even. That is the easiest way to do it. I used to struggle with this as well, but that has really helped me. So use that trick. If you guys do use that trick and it works for you, leave a comment down below because I would love to know that it worked for you. So here I am just establishing this first line and making sure that my part is super crisp. That's really important, guys. Get you a good rat tail comb or break off a couple of the teeth. Sometimes it's easier to do it that way. I have so many different combs. So today I'm using this one, but usually I have one that's like sharp and it has some teeth broken off in the front that I'm able to really part. Or I'm using like this metal piece on the rat tail comb that I really like to use as well. Helps me part really well. And then I'm going to move to the front, as you can see. And before I start braiding, I'm just going to make sure and double check and triple check that this line is in the center. So this way when I'm looking at him and his braids are done, I'm not seeing lopsidedness, because there's nothing worse than doing braids and they're lopsided. So I always work from right to left, and we went ahead and we're only going to do 4 braids today, but this is the kind of style that he wanted. He kind of showed me a picture, so this is what we're going to do. Kind of like, I don't know, I kind of call them like cloud braids. They just remind me of clouds because it's like 3 half circles. I don't know. But anyway, here we are starting our braid. So I grabbed 3 pieces in the front, and then I'm going to braid those pieces before I start adding hair in. Maybe like 1 or 2 times, and then I'll start kind of adding the hair. So I'm gonna stitch a braid. Those are the kind of braids that I like to do best. I think they look the best. So I'm just using my pinky and I'm kind of cutting that hair so that it looks like that stitch parting. That's like one of the most important parts. Now I do have like those little metal line things. They're like little metal rings you can put on your finger, and they help you create the stitches. But I have nails, so sometimes that's just easier for me than just using a bunch of different things. Some people will use like the rat tail comb to kind of create those lines, and those look really crisp too. I think it just is a matter of what you're most comfortable with, and I feel like that's really time consuming, and I feel like I just like to get things done time efficient, so this is just easier for me. This service from beginning to end probably took me about an hour, maybe an hour and 20 minutes. it's a pretty quick service. It's not really too long. The haircut typically takes me 30 minutes. So if you think about it, 45 minutes for the braids and then 30 minutes for the haircut and maybe, you know, 5-10 minutes on the beard. So then we're all done and this is what it looks like. I really like the way this came out. If you guys like this kind of content, be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Let me know what you guys think. All right, guys, we'll see you on the next one.